Good morning, everyone. This is Martin, and the name of the channel is The Campfire Trail, and the name of this series is Hands-On Homestead House Build. So that's what we're doing, is doing a series on building a house from scratch. Just my wife and I doing all of the work on here. And last week we spent digging out a hole for a basement, which in Southwest Missouri is not always easy and not even always possible. We knew that from digging around here in the past that we were going to hit ledge rock at some point. And I knew that over here by this, our utility shed, where our electricity is generated from the solar panels and all of that, trying to drive the ground rod in, we hit solid rock at about 4 feet deep. Now, that rock is probably this rock. And that rock is solid, but it drops down about another 1.5 to 2 feet onto the rock that I'm standing on, and this is the level that we're dealing with right now. And so when you're digging a basement, you'd like to get a little deeper than what we're at. We're on a slope, so we're probably about 4 feet deep on the low side of the slope, and we're 6 to 7 feet deep on the other side. I would have liked to have gotten 7+ feet deep. But you know, we're on solid rock, so that's where we're at. And so we're going to talk a little bit about foundations. Because we're trying to do a basement here, we are going to be putting in fittings and then laying up cement block walls around here. So we'll be getting into the fittings next week, or the footings next week. But just to talk a little bit about, not everybody's going to try to do a whole basement. And we have done several different types of foundations down here on the property. And, you know, one of the things that you can do is what's called a slab on grade, which is up here. Let's see if I can get a little closer to that. In our utility building, basically, because it's a floating slab, essentially. We went a little bit below the ground level just so that we wouldn't be getting washouts from rain, washing dirt out from underneath the cement. But that one is basically sitting on the ground with no concern about frost lines and things like that. Now, over here on the cabin, we did 2 different types of foundation up here. Okay, I'm sitting here right at the front door of the cabin, and about 1/3 of our cabin, where the kitchen and the bathroom are at, we did do a cement slab. But this has, we actually poured in, we dug down to the frost line level and poured a perimeter around there of kind of like footings, but they went down deep enough into the ground that we won't have to be concerned about frost. And we wanted to do that because we had a lot of plumbing coming in and out of the cabin right here. And I didn't want to have to deal with exposing it to open air, because we did pier footings back here on the back. And so we essentially poured a perimeter that went down to the frost line and then put a cap on top of it. Backfilled it up to the point where we've got about a 4.5 inch slab there on top, and that's all anchored together with rebar and everything like that. So that's another type where you go down below the frost line, and then back on the back. I won't go back so much into that, but you can do wood, or like treated wood, or concrete piers, and then build on top of that. And that's what we did back there. So it's got kind of a open space underneath it that at some point when we have time we'll probably close up, but for now it's just open and it's pier construction. So those are 3 types of foundations that you can deal with. And I mentioned frost line because it can be an issue if you don't get low enough below the frost line. People a lot of times will wonder, well, what's the importance of it? And I know that the frost can heave foundations up and down. Worst case scenario, they can break them, and you know, over time enough frost and thawing can actually break foundations. But then we also have a story where people that we know had built a cabin, and one of the porch posts that they put in did not quite get down to the frost line. I think it was farther up north. I think they had it there, or I think they thought they had it there, but it wasn't quite down. And over the years, the frost kept, pushing the post up. A little bit each year would push the post up until the point where it actually pushed a whole entire corner of the porch up. And that's what frost does over time, is it just continues to push. And so anyway, that's, if frost is an issue, get below the frost line, figure out what it is and just get below that. So anyway, that's the story on footings here. And, it's basic, but that's where we're at. And we're going to be anchoring these footings here in this basement to solid rock. So they're going to be substantial, but not probably as substantial as they would if you were just going down, digging down and having to put footings on top of the soil or the dirt down at the bottom of your trench or at the bottom of the hole where you're digging. So anyway, that's today's episode, is just talking about foundations, and that's what we're going to get started with next, is building footings for the cement block walls here. So if this had any value to you, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you next week with the next step, which hopefully will be footings. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a like and a share, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and the notification bell. See you next time.